In the past 2 weeks, I have learned so much about reselling, and I'm going to share the top 10 tips with you that I took away from these past 2 weeks. So if you want to learn what those 10 tips are, then stay tuned.
Won't nobody love you the way they should. Won't nobody check up on you, make sure you're good. Won't nobody check those body tremors for your neck.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park and I'm a part-time reseller on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and Citizen. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 10, actually 12. If you stay tuned till the end, there are 2 bonus tips as well. But I wanted to share with you 10 really great tips that I learned throughout these past couple weeks, because what I was doing in the past couple weeks was hosting a summer listing challenge. In the first week, I had a week's worth of training videos that I did myself on different topics ranging from how to stay consistent in reselling, how to batch work, how to create listings and take pictures for reselling. But in the following week, what I did was I had different guests come on my channel and we did YouTube live videos. And in those videos, I was able to pick all of those different people's brains on different topics related to reselling. And all of my guests were just so knowledgeable. And I think all of them have been reselling for longer than I have as well. So really what I'm going to be sharing with you is 2 tips from each of those guests, as well as 2 big takeaways that I have just from these last 2 weeks. If you're excited to hear my 10 plus 2 bonus takeaways, then definitely make sure that you hit that like button and let's get started. So I'm actually going to work backwards and we're going to talk about the lessons that I learned from my last guest and move all the way back to my first guest that I had on my channel last week. The last guest that I had on Friday was Jess from JS Thrifts and Flips. You can find her on Instagram, and we talked specifically about how to list on different platforms like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and even Tradesy, which is a platform that I really just have very little experience with. But one of the biggest takeaways that I took from my conversation with her is when it comes to listing on eBay, the listing title is key. And she said that you have, I want to say it's 150 characters. I'm going to check to make sure, but you have a ton of characters, and her tip was use every single one of them. And probably the most helpful thing that she shared during that live was the idea that when you write out your listing title, it doesn't have to read nicely like a sentence. And I think that's kind of what I'm accustomed to, if I'm being honest, when it comes to creating listing titles on Poshmark. But she was saying on eBay, it really can just be like a list of just descriptive words, and that's okay. So she suggested starting with, if it's new, like, new with tags, literally writing out the word new or new with tags, because she was saying there are a lot of people on eBay who may not know what NWT means, which is what I'm so used to writing when it comes to creating a listing title on Poshmark. So she suggested writing out the word new or new with tags. She said always start with the brand name, and then after that you want to say what the item is. So if it's a pair of jeans, you want to write jeans, or if it's a jacket, you want to say jacket. And then she suggested that you write out the size. So instead of just putting S for small or L for large, she suggested writing out SMALL for the word small, or spelling out the word large. And the reason for that, again, she said, is because typically when people are searching for stuff in eBay, they're not searching for Forever 21 shirt S. They're typically going to type out the word small. So I thought that was a really helpful tip, because I tend to just write, S for small, M for medium. But now I feel like I'm going to try to get in the habit of writing out the whole word. And then after that, she said, you just want to stuff in as many descriptors as possible. And you really want to think about it from the buyer's perspective. What types of words might they type in order to find whatever it is that you're trying to sell? So let's use this dress as an example. This is a dress by Prana, and different words that I might type in if I was looking for this particular dress or a dress similar to this. I think I would type in the word pink. I think I would type in the word summer, activewear, athletic, V-neck, sleeveless, shelf bra. And so essentially what Jess was saying is you don't need to write Prana dress small, summery pink dress with shelf bra and V-neck. She was saying it doesn't have to sound pretty or look pretty or roll off the tongue very nicely, but once you say all of the essential information, you want to make sure that you just stuff in as many keywords at the end of the listing title as possible, because that's going to be how people find your listing on eBay. She also talked about the fact that after you get past the listing title, eBay has some specific information they want you to input, and it's like the required information. And sometimes, as we were talking, I was telling her it's really frustrating because when I'm trying to list jeans, for example, they don't have very many options for jeans. Under the style drop-down menu, they'll have options like mom and I can't even think of what else, but literally they don't have things like skinny or straight. I mean, they just have really random style names and you're supposed to choose from one of them. So I asked her, I said, you know, you have the option of writing something in. Is that preferred if you just really can't find something in the drop-down menu? And she said, no, it's almost like you're not even doing that part of the listing at all. She said, you want to just select the closest option. And so with the example of skinny jeans, for example, or even straight leg jeans, she said, I just choose jeggings because it's the closest thing to what it is that I'm selling. So I thought those were really great takeaways when it came to creating listings on eBay and, you know, writing out your listing titles and even what part of the eBay listing you have to fill out. And then the second thing that she shared is how to get back into good standing with eBay if you dip below good standing. So Jess did share with us in that live that there was one point in her life when, you know, she just wasn't doing super hot. And so, you know, her reselling business was suffering, especially on eBay. She wasn't shipping things out in time. She had a few dings on her account. And as a result, she slipped into the below standards rating on eBay. And when that happens, eBay charges you with more fees. You have to pay like the maximum amount that eBay, you know, charges for shipping. eBay just kind of goes out of their way to punish you if you dip into that below standings rating. And so Jess shared some of the things that she did to get back into the above average, I don't remember what like the, you know, middle regular tier is, but she said she basically just accepted any offers that came her way because she just kind of needed more sales to like get her to that next level when it came to her rating status. And obviously she was pushing herself to make sure that she was shipping out stuff in time, but ultimately she just focused on volume and proving to eBay that she was a great seller and that people wanted to buy from her and that she was providing a good experience. So if you ever find yourself, you know, slipping into that below standards, there is a way to get out. It can be discouraging. It can feel like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to get out of this. But Jess is a great example of someone who did end up there, but then she worked really hard to get herself out of it. On Thursday, we talked with Courtney from Courtney on Posh. You can find her both on YouTube and on Instagram under that handle. And the two biggest takeaways that I had from her, one is really similar to something that Jess from JS Thrifts and Flips shared, but it's the idea of keyword stuffing. But she talked to us about keyword stuffing in her Poshmark listing. So we were talking in that live stream about, you know, utilizing all of your characters in your listing title for Poshmark, which, you know, Poshmark gives you a lot less characters than eBay does. But she said that she also maximizes the number of characters allotted to her in the description. And I said, how? Like, what are you writing about in your description that you're using all the characters? But she says that she stuffs as many keywords as she can into the description portion of her listing. And this is what she meant. So she said if she's selling a beautiful dress by Faithful the brand, and it's this long, beautiful midi dress, she said in the description, after she writes a little bit about the dress and provides measurements and whatnot, at the bottom, she will write the keywords that people might be using to search for that dress. So for example, she'll just have a bunch of adjectives or descriptive words along the bottom, things like wedding guest dress, resort, vacation, beach. Or she said if she's selling career pieces like Ann Taylor or Loft or Banana Republic, along the bottom, she'll write things like office, career, teacher, teaching assistant, and she'll just write out words that people might be using when they're typing into the search bar of Poshmark, because some people are shopping specifically by brand, but some people are searching, you know, for a specific event, like they're going to a wedding and they're going to be a wedding guest, or they're looking for clothes to wear as a teacher. So they might write something along the lines of, you know, teacher clothes or teacher attire. Another keyword that she talked about was the word modest. So similar again to what Jess was saying, it's not this beautifully written out paragraph where she's describing the ideal customer for this dress or anything like that, but she's literally just throwing in words that people might be using to look for this item. My second takeaway from Courtney, and again, I think this calls back to the conversation with Jessica as well, and you'll find that there are a lot of themes that just carried throughout the week, but one thing that Courtney shared is that she is expecting, which is so exciting. This is her first child, and as a result, she's made the decision to kind of pivot and change her reselling strategy and not sell as much stuff on her own, but to send more stuff into ThredUP, because ThredUP will do a lot more of the work for you. And if you know what kinds of brands to pick up, and if you know what kinds of brands you can get really good payouts for, it actually could be a really great way to do reselling, but without having to do all the things like take pictures or list or anything like that. And so she shared that she actually pulled the majority of the items from her own Poshmark closet, and that she's sending those items into ThredUP because for her, that's what makes the most sense right now as her and her husband get ready for baby number 1. Jessica also shared shared that she has sent in a lot of her stuff to ThredUp, and she's kind of going down that route as well because it's just a lot less time consuming on her end, and she doesn't have to do as much of the work, but she can still make a good amount of money. I actually am also trying to go down that route a little bit. I mean, I still have a lot of stuff that I'm going to be listing myself, but I'm definitely kind of in the experimental phases of ThredUp, just trying to send them a ton of different brands to see what brands do well. And also, I did finally take the plunge and sign up for Chriselle's ThredUp course. If you're not following Chriselle, I will leave her Instagram information here, but she created a course on how to sell on ThredUp, and I have just started taking it. It really is a great course, and I do have an affiliate link down below where you can save $40 off of the course if you just use that link, and I'm telling you, it's well worth it. But if you purchase the course right now, you have lifetime access to it plus all future iterations of it, so I definitely recommend it. Like I said, I'm learning a ton, but I will warn you that right now ThredUp is not taking any more clean out kits. They've like stopped taking inventory from anybody, and the reason for that is because they're so overwhelmed. So, if that makes you rethink taking a course on ThredUp right now because you can't even send them stuff at the moment, I totally understand, but just know that that link is down there if and when you're ready to take that course. On Wednesday, we talked with Coco from Color Resale, and you can find her at Color Resale on Instagram and here on YouTube. And the topic at hand was how to find good work-life balance. And I'm telling you, if you have not watched that live show, definitely make sure that you watch it because she dropped so much knowledge and just wisdom in that video. But one of the things that she shared was, as a mother, she has the most adorable 2-year-old daughter, but she shared that rather than thinking about it as her daughter getting in the way of her reselling business, she tries to figure out ways to include her daughter in her reselling business. So one example that she shared was one task that she's given to her daughter is retrieving the shipping labels from the printer. And she did say, her daughter is 2 years old. She did say like the first time that, she did this with her daughter, it took hours. Like it took much longer than it would have if she were to just do it by herself. But by investing that time, by investing those hours in the first few days, teaching her daughter how to do it, this is now something that they get to do together. And she said it kind of creates more accountability on her end to sell more, because if she doesn't sell anything in any given day, her daughter will look at her and be like, we don't have any packages. And so, in an effort to not disappoint her daughter, she said she really makes sure that she does everything she can to make sure that she has daily sales so that her daughter can help her with her business. And she shared many other ways that you could involve your children in your reselling business, but I just thought that that was a really cute way to do it. And like I said, rather than your children resenting you for your reselling business because you're not spending time with them, but she said she really has found a way to use it as mommy-daughter time. So if there's ever a way to kill two birds with one stone in that sense, spend time with your kids, but also be able to do the things that you need to for your reselling business, she talks about ways that you can do that. And I thought that that was really beautiful. Secondly, she talked about how Instagram and social media in general have really helped generate more sales. This is again something that Courtney from Courtney on Posh talked about as well. But one thing that both of them said, and something that Coco really stressed, was the idea that you have to show up as yourself on Instagram 100%. You just have to be authentically yourself and not, a poor man's version of anybody else, and people will respond to that. Obviously, there will be some people who, you're just not their cup of tea because it's impossible to please everybody, but she said the moment she really started to stop paying attention to what everyone else was doing on Instagram, and what that meant was she really cut out the amount of time that she was spending scrolling through Instagram and just looking at her feed and just checking out what other people were doing on Instagram. But the moment she really stopped doing that and focused on her own Instagram feed and her own stories, she said that that's when she noticed a huge uptick in the number of followers that she was getting, as well as the amount of sales that she was making as a direct result of her Instagram posts and stories. So if you've ever wondered, how can I use Instagram in a way to help my business rather than taking away from the time that I'm supposed to be spending on my reselling business, go check out her Instagram because she is doing a beautiful job of this. On Tuesday, we talked with Mogi from Mogi Beth, again here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And Mogi is a little bit different from some of the other people that I interviewed in that she's really in this space right now where she is growing like crazy. She's growing like crazy on her various social media platforms, but she's also growing like crazy in her reselling business. She has employees now. She has like a warehouse space. She's posting some really impressive numbers. And so while in some sense that may not be where you and I are at, like I'm still part-time people, but she shared some really great tips on how to scale your business if that's something that you're interested in doing. One of the first things that she said she had to do was she did a time audit on what was happening every day within her reselling business. She sat down and like literally wrote down minute for minute where her time was going. And by doing so, she was able to identify what parts of her daily tasks were able to go. You know, she noticed that she was spending an inordinate amount of time taking down measurements of the different garments that she was selling. And she decided, you know what? That's something that can go. But by doing a time edit, she was able to see where her time was going and see what things could go, cut those things out, and then really streamline her day-to-day so that she was as efficient as possible. The second thing that she shared, and this was kind of in preparation for hiring employees, but even again, just kind of for herself to understand what it was that she was doing and to make sure that everything was vital to, you know, the success of her business, she decided to like write out the procedure for every single thing that she would do. So when it came to shipping, she sat down and she wrote down step by step what it was that she was doing to ship everything out. And again, this kind of served two purposes. One was for her to just see for herself, was there any redundancy in some of the things that she was doing? Was there a way to cut something out or move something into a different spot in her workflow to just help things, you know, move quicker or to be more efficient? But it was also in an effort to write things out so that she had a training manual for employees. And not only that, one thing that I thought was genius was she said that she would write her training manuals with the person that she was training, or she would even have the person that she was training write the manual. And the reason for that is because then she could see where information was falling through the cracks. Like she thought she had explained something well, but then she realized, you know, her employee didn't actually understand what was supposed to happen at this step of shipping or at this step of taking pictures or whatever it might be. And so by having her employee help write the training manual, they were able to see where those gaps kind of were. And the reason for this, she said, is because ultimately the idea is that she can take herself out of the picture and her business can still run smoothly. That's how you scale up, my friends. And again, if you want to see what a reselling business looks like on that level, definitely make sure that you're checking out her channel. Finally, on Monday, we talked with Courtney from Common Tags. Courtney is a great friend of mine. She also has a wonderful YouTube channel and she's on Instagram as well. And again, to kind of echo the sentiment of what a lot of other people were saying, she said that one of the greatest things she did for her reselling business was to stop using Instagram so much. And not only that, she said when it comes to Instagram and even responding to comments on YouTube, she says that with YouTube comments, she limits it now to once a week. Once a week, she will schedule in a time where she sits down and responds to as many YouTube comments as she can, but it's not something that she does every day because otherwise it gets in the way of her actually running her reselling business. I don't know if you're starting to see a common trend here, but a lot of the things associated with social media just are not going to actually increase your sales. And so what a lot of these women have done is they have looked at their time and they have figured out that social media is the thing that has to go. Courtney said that on her phone, she was able to actually track how much time she was spending on different apps on her phone. And she was noticing that Instagram was taking up 8 to 10 hours of her week. And she knew that that was time that could be better spent elsewhere. So she made the important decision, again, to stop just scrolling aimlessly through her feed on Instagram and instead use that time for her reselling business. The second thing that she shared, because the topic on hand for her live stream was consistency, how to build consistency as a reseller. And she said that it really helped her to think about her goals, not only on a daily basis, but to really think about her goals weekly and monthly. And the reason for that, she said, was because sometimes things would just pop up in the day and she wouldn't be able to hit her daily goals. But rather than get down on herself for it, she would look at how she could spread out what she wasn't able to do in that day throughout the rest of her week. And she said, sometimes you just wake up and you are ready to go. You are ready to just tackle all the things on your to-do list and then some. And so she said when she's in those kinds of moods, she will just go for it. And then sometimes she wakes up and it's just not one of those days. Like she just doesn't really want to do anything reseller related, and she has the freedom to kind of take a step back, knowing that she can make up for some of those things that she let slide later on in the week. The same thing happens if you train yourself to look at your goals on a monthly scale, again, there can kind of be some give and take. Like maybe this is a week where you go really hard, but then you recognize the next week, I really need to chill out because I can feel myself, not feeling very well. Or maybe you just need to kind of take some mental health days. Whatever it may be, it's your business. You get to run it however you want. So if you're not the type of person that operates well thinking about daily goals because you might not be able to meet them every single day and that really kind of messes you up, then structure your goals more on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis and just play around with that and see what works best for you. Finally, I wanted to share my biggest takeaways that I had these last couple weeks. And these are the 2 bonus tips that I talked about at the beginning of the video. But the first thing that I really am taking away from this experience is that community for me is everything. Most of you know this about me, but I am a high school choir teacher. That's what I do as my full-time job. And one of the things that I love about my job is my community. I love the people in the music department at my school. I love the fine arts coordinator. He is my direct boss, and he's literally like my favorite person in the world. I love having other people that I can go to vent or to problem solve with or to share my successes with. I love having people that I can eat lunch with on a daily basis. And it's that sense of community that really builds me up and gives me encouragement when I need it. And that is one of the greatest takeaways that I am taking from this challenge is the community that we've built in that Facebook group, the community that we were able to create in the YouTube live videos. Some people go into reselling because they want to work on their own. They don't really want to, have coworkers. They don't really want to have to bounce ideas off of other people or anything like that. They're really content on their own, and that's totally fine. But for personalities like mine, where I really feed off of the energy of other people, and I get energy too from like knowing that I've encouraged someone or I've been helpful in some way. Something about that really feeds my soul. That's probably why I'm a teacher. And so having that sense of community was probably just my favorite part of these last 2 weeks. So if you're anything like me and you just find yourself really lonely and isolated as a reseller, find your community. You can do that on Instagram. You can find some people that you just really click with, and you can even create like a private DM group or like a private chat. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called a DM group. I don't know, something like that. I have one with a group of ladies from a listing challenge that I did last spring actually, and we still talk to this day. I think we literally talk every day in that group, and it just warms my heart and soul because even though we're all so different and we're all in really different stages of our reselling journey and have different reasons as to why we're reselling, I love that we can count on one another if we need support or if we need encouragement or if we just have questions about something. I love that I can go to that group of I think it's 8 to 10 women, and we can just be ourselves and really be there to support and encourage one another. So perhaps you can find a group of people on Instagram that you just really vibe well with. You can create your own group like that and, just have a support group of other people who are going to build you up and help you be better at what you do. My final takeaway from the last 2 weeks is that I don't know everything and I never will, and that's okay. Keep asking questions, keep putting yourself out there, keep trying new things because you might just stumble across something that you love, or you may be able to figure out something that just really works for you when it comes to any given platform. Don't allow yourself to get stuck in a rut just because that's all you know and you're too scared to venture out and try something else. Try the new things. Try sourcing differently. Try picking up new brands. Or if you only sell women's, try learning about hard goods or try learning about children's clothes or men's clothes. If you only sell on one platform, try another platform. And know that there are a lot of other people out there who have a lot of information to help you on your journey. There are a ton of YouTube channels. There are a ton of people on Instagram sharing their information freely. There are even courses that you can pay for on how to sell on Poshmark or how to sell on eBay or Amazon, if what you really need is just someone to hold your hand through the entire process. Keep on learning. Don't ever feel like you've learned everything that there is to learn because you just haven't. The reselling game is always changing, and find your community if you realize that that's what you need in order to be successful. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the last 2 weeks of the Summer Listing Challenge as much as I have. I do have a playlist right here of all of the videos from that Summer Listing Challenge, including the videos of training that I did for a week, as well as the live videos videos with all of the guest stars that I just mentioned. I would love to hear from you guys as well what your biggest takeaways were from the Summer Listing Challenge if you were a part of it, because I want to know what kind of impact the last 2 weeks had on you. I feel like I'm coming away from these 2 weeks just completely changed, and I have so many different ideas for what I want to do in my reselling business, and I'm just so excited again. Like, I feel like going into it, I was just kind of getting into this place of complacency, and I just wasn't really excited to do all of my reselling stuff. But now I'm just so excited about trying new things and new strategies, and I have a lot of different ideas for videos on YouTube. And so definitely make sure, if you haven't subscribed yet, that you do, because I have some really exciting videos coming your way. But also, I'll be returning to some of the old, like, tried and true favorites, like thrift hauls and what sold videos, tips and tricks videos, that sort of thing. But I don't know, I'm just really excited right now, and I hope you are too. So that is it for my video today, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.